Hi there, Foxine here. On this episode, I kind of want to go over things that clients should know and a little bit of confidence as a tattoo client, somebody who's getting tattooed. I'm going to kind of go over a few topics on this. Again, like during my channel, notice I repeat myself a lot, so I'll be talking about like research, kind of like what you want to talk about with your artist. I also want to talk about harassment, and I got some horror stories for you. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started. As well as an artist, I myself am a tattoo client. I have my own artists that I like to go to, whether it be like my boss at the shop and we'll like do tattoos for each other, or I have a couple other people that I go to around like the Denver area. I also like to get tattoos when I travel. The last one I got out of state, unfortunately, it was a while ago. My little Foxy here got this in North Carolina. But you definitely want to do your research, like no matter where you're going, whether you're in town, out of town. A lot of times, artists don't have time to do walk-ins. You kind of have to contact them, be like, hey, I'd like to have a tattoo from you. And a part of that is, you kind of got to do the legwork. I'm a huge planner. I like to kind of plan what I'm getting, but I know a lot of folks out there do the walk-ins on a whim and everything. There's nothing wrong with that. Just unfortunately, right now, because of the whole pandemic thing, a lot of artists aren't taking walk-ins. So that's where it's doing the good client thing and contacting and reaching out and figuring out what you're wanting in advance. I personally like planning with my clients a lot better than doing walk-ins. Now, don't get me wrong, I'll do walk-ins till the day I die once we're allowed to do them again. However, walk-ins can take a little bit more time if you don't know what you want. Or if you're wanting a larger piece that has to be drawn up, you may have to wait like an hour or two for your artist to draw it up. So I definitely am a fan of know what you're wanting, know where you're wanting to get it. There's nothing wrong with doing like artist freedom pieces. Like my chest flowers here, I basically contacted the artist and was like, hey, I want flowers and I want them on my chest. And I gave him measurements. I actually took like a ruler and measured, where and how big, so I could give that to my artist, which that's a great thing. If you can measure, the area in either inches or centimeters for your artist, that helps a bunch instead of, I want a medium-sized tattoo. Medium is relative. My idea of medium is this big. Other people's idea of medium is like maybe this big. Just to give you like a point of reference, the average phone these days is about 6 inches long, give or take. So just give them like the model of your phone against the area of the skin. Be like, I've got this phone, and you can look up the dimensions on there. So that's something to keep in mind. But you're definitely just going to want to work with your artist. And one of the things I want to make known too is, if you find an artist and you're not vibing with them, like if you don't like the way that they're, talking with you, or you don't like the way that they're doing their suggestions or anything, you don't have to go with that artist. So we can kind of dive into some story time now, kind of piggybacking off of the artist vibe. I've had a handful of clients come to me before, and they've got tattoos and everything, but it always throws me off when I have clients who compliment me on my demeanor or like how I treat them. I've worked various customer service kind of positions, so I feel like this is just who I am now. I try to be as polite as I can. I try to work with you. I feel like I have the lingo down with working with people in general. But I've noticed that they've complimented me on that because they've had such bad experiences with other artists. So I'm not sure if it's just these, it's probably just like these small experiences that they've had. And here I am rambling. But getting to the point is that there are artists out there who will get very abrupt and who will mock ideas in front of their clients. Like if there's a difference between understanding the limits of your tattoo versus just straight out your artist is kind of being a dick about it. I guess, for instance, I had a client a while back. They wanted to get the outline of their dog's ears. And it turned out to be like a really cute tattoo. It's just a small line art tattoo. They had like one little floppy ear, one ear up, and it turned out really cute. But the reason why they had come to my shop was they were shopping around and they were doing walk-ins at the time. And they had gotten ridiculed by the previous shop they had gone to. I guess the artist that was working with this person and her friend, they were just saying, that's really like a stupid tattoo, and you know, you're gonna regret it later, and all this stuff. And I mean, every artist has opinions on their tattoos. I can go over the tattoos that I don't personally like, but it's another thing to say that to your client. And as a client, you do not have to put up with that. You don't. And which they didn't. They came to me and we did it, and it was adorable. And it might still be in my gallery on Instagram. It might not be, but I really liked it. It was cute. But yeah, if you have somebody who's just doing that, you know, you don't have to pay them. You don't have to deal with it. You can just be like, yeah, I'm not really liking your attitude. I'm just gonna go. Now, the difference between getting what you want and having like a tattoo limit is a little bit different. However, I mean, I feel like artists should be a little bit more clear when trying to explain that versus just, you know, oh, that's going to be a stupid tattoo. Like, when my clients get script, I know the big thing right now is to have this really tiny, thin, you know, almost single line, really delicate looking script, which it looks really cool when you first get it. However, you're going to want to have it big enough so it ages properly. I cannot tell you how many times I've actually had to cover up these delicate script pieces because they're not so delicate after a few years. They spread out because tattoos over time lose their sharpness. So I do try to warn my clients about that with like these tiny tattoos, these micro tattoos. But I mean, ultimately, I'll do it. If you want this tiny little thing, just like this big and everything, I'll do it. But I am 100% going to be honest with you and tell you it's not going to look good after a while. I know one of the things also that's been going around are like, for an example, ear tattoos. They look super cool. I'm sure you've seen some. There's one with like a snake going through this ear. People get like the sides of them done with like little flowers, and they're like really delicate. I don't know if I can get close enough. Yeah. I bet y'all will never guess what that used to be. And it was not a flower. So this tattoo here is about... Dang, how old am I? This has got to be over 10 years old. It used to be a paw print. But, especially like with the ear and the back of the ear with like tiny ones like that, they just don't age well. They just don't. But I mean, I'll do it. So yeah, I'll try to be honest with you in that aspect, but I'm not gonna knock your tattoo idea. I'm really not. Like, people shouldn't have to deal with that. Piggybacking off of this whole, you know, picking your art and making sure your art is yours. One of the things I want to make note of is if your artist draws up, so I find this a lot with fan art, and I'm kind of guilty of this too. If your artist really doesn't know the fandom that you're trying to get art of, sometimes it just doesn't look right. So I have this client that they've been an awesome client. So they had an anime girl like tattooed on their arm, and unfortunately the artist didn't really know where it was from, didn't really pay attention to the references that they were given, and ultimately it wasn't a bad tattoo, it just wasn't what my client wanted. Which it's okay for artists to have like their own rendition of it, but if it's not what you wanted, if you were seeing the art and be like, hey, this doesn't look like the character, don't get it. I'm just straight out. It's okay if you need to reschedule and have them redraw, but this is going on your body, and if you're not okay with it, you need to stand up for yourself. And I know it can be really hard and intimidating, especially if it's going to be like your first tattoo, you're super excited and everything. But yeah, it's one of those things that if it doesn't look right, it's on the stencil or anything, it's not going to look right as a tattoo as well. I've seen this in a few different pieces that I've had to work with. I have a client who has stylized Pokemon, and they look cute as the artist's tattoo style. However, they don't look like Pokemon. Like, you kind of have to have that vibe with it. I mean, you don't have to be like the greatest Pokemon master. I've played all the games and seen all the shows, you know. But at least, you know, you use the reference. Google that. I mean, one of the things that I fall guilty for this was I have this awesome client. We're doing an Avatar kind of project. We did Avatar: The Last Airbender. When I started the project, I had no idea of anything from Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I feel like I skirted by with this piece. I did get some approval, you know, obviously from my client, but then my coworkers and everything, that I was able to draw Aang correctly and get the personalities of, you know, Appa and Momo and everything, which I was super proud. And after that, I did like an Avatar bender and everything. I did my research on it, so all the future pieces from here on out, I won't make that mistake again. And I've got no problem doing research on that. If you're a nerdy person, and I love the nerd fandoms and everything, I love doing nerdy tattoos, I will do research for your tattoo before we do it. Not to say that every artist will do that or won't do that or anything, but it's just something personal I just really like to do when I get into projects and stuff. But then that was my rambling on that subject. But going back on topic, if you are presented with a situation that you're not digging the artwork or anything, it's okay to talk to your artist and be like, hey, this isn't what I'm this isn't what I'm looking for. Is there a way we can like rework it? Or if it's just not working out in general, it's okay to find another artist. The only thing that I think may set some people back is deposits. So that's something to consider too. That's why I really, go back to the whole thing of research your artist, make sure you know the style that you're going for, the skill set of said artist, what the artist likes to draw. So it goes back to, if you want a nerd tattoo, don't go to like an extreme realist person who doesn't do anything nerdy or kind of back and forth. But yeah, just definitely do that research. But rambling aside, if you end up giving a deposit to an artist to do your piece and everything, and you find out that you just aren't going to be able to work with this artist, you may have to be prepared to lose your deposit. They're important for the artists to make sure that, their time isn't wasted. Because, even though, if the artwork doesn't work for you, or it's, it's just really not what you're looking for, they still spent that time on that for you. So, I've been in situations where I've, given an artist deposit, and it really didn't work out. So I was out $100, and I basically just had to start from scratch. But that was my fault because I didn't really do the research, and, that artist didn't really have the style that I wanted. But on the flip side, you are helping support another artist. Another thing I wanted to bring up, which has been brought to light a lot more often that I've seen anyway, is harassment. So I have plenty of stories of my clients talking to me about, yeah, I went to this tattoo shop and I really wanted to get this cool tattoo, but this guy kept making remarks to me. I have one client, their artist at the time was trying to hook them up with like the artist's buddy's friend, and then the friend mysteriously showed up, started hitting on them, and they're just wanting to get their tattoo. I had to talk to a gal the other day who just didn't want to go back to this guy, and that's a whole other story. But they ended up, I don't know if they ended up going to this guy, but they made comments saying, hey, I want to, head to you from now on because this guy just harasses me and, makes lewd comments. Like, harassment like that is not okay at all. And you do not have to put up with it. If somebody is pulling that in the middle of your tattoo, fucking get up and walk away. Like, if they are sexually harassing you while you are getting artwork, leave. You can always touch up your tattoo later. Just get up and go. There is no reason in this green earth that somebody should be touching you inappropriately or making comments about your, these, or your downstairs, or anything. That is just beyond inappropriate, and I will always advocate for that. Myself, I hope that I come off as a safe haven artist. That's what I try to advertise to my fellow, clients who have had harassment issues is, what? If they, you couldn't finish your tattoo with them, or you're too upset and anxious or scared to go back to that artist, come to me. I'll help you. I'll help you in a safe environment, safe, clean, nobody's gonna be touching at your bits, nobody's gonna try to be hooking you up with stuff. I'm not about that life. What gets me the most too on this whole harassment topic is I've had clients who have underage children, so that have had issues like that. So in the state of Colorado, you can be 16 and 17 with permission of parental guardian, legal guardian, parent to get a tattoo. They have to sign for you, they have to have their ID, etc. and everything. However, if you have a 16-year-old daughter who's getting harassed, that's not okay. And people do that. I've had mom clients who have come in here and requesting specifically a female artist for them and their daughters or whatnot because they've had that happen. It's 2020, people. It's about to be 2021. That's never been okay. And it continues to happen. it really, I'm kind of passionate about this, and it's really terrible that it still happens. So it actually happened recently too. If you look up, there was a tattoo artist in Arvada, Colorado, who had recently gotten arrested for sexually assaulting his clients. He was 26 years old, doing this to people. Why? Why? Okay, so for this next story, I don't know how true it is, but it was a pretty interesting story. So I had a client come in, and I'm going to have to double check for this one too. So I might have to do some research, and see if I find it, I'll post it in the comments. Apparently, there was a tattoo artist in their state, and this person had been arrested at one point and had been in prison for 10 years and got out, which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with, prison folks and tattoos, that's a whole other history thing. But this particular individual was sent to prison because he and an accomplice had killed an underage girl and apparently eaten them. And he only got off on like 10 years or something because he narked on his friend. So they killed a girl, they ate her, and then he did some time, and now he opens a tattoo shop. And my client's 16-year-old daughter had gotten a tattoo for them, and they got that weird vibe, and he was making inappropriate, comments about that. So, you know what, I think I am going to look that up and see if I can find it for the comments. Alright, sadly I couldn't find that one specifically. I wish I would have wrote it down, because it was going around a few of my tattoo groups, and one of my clients was the one who brought it up. She was the one who was like, yeah, this guy, look it up in this state, and now I can't remember it, but it's one of those things, like, I was just going through Google, tattoo artist arrested, and you'll look through and see, like, bunch of sexual misconduct and everything. So it's just one of those things, like, be careful. If people are doing things to you that you don't want to have done, you need to stand up and say, hey, this is not okay, and GTFO. But overall, I hope this one was kind of fun and informative. It's just probably a lot of just me rambling, which, I'll get better at that, I promise. My goal of 2021 is to have, better content and be a little bit more concise and not ramble, but I hope I'm entertaining at least, and yeah, just be careful out there, know what you're wanting, do some research, see if you can vibe with your artist, and don't take crap from anybody. So if you liked, hit that like button, subscribe if you kind of enjoy my stuff, but until next time, I'll wrap this one up.